we're talking about content creation, and we're here with Jason and Builders here as well, obviously.
Yeah. Yep. Good morning,
Hi,
or
guys.
good afternoon, or good evening. Where
So there was a lot of talk around yellow energy in the Discord the other day, and circling back to the draft white paper, we're now looking at what the future looks like for yellow energy. So Jason, what are your thoughts on it, mate?
Well, I have been kicking it around a little bit, and a couple initial thoughts. I thought maybe it was, red energies related to T1 upgrades and access, but initial thoughts, I was thinking like maybe T2 upgrade to T1 as a possibility, or maybe enhanced resource productions. But after giving it some deeper thought, what I think would be a good idea is allowing early access for people that are more involved. Like really, yellow energy is about early involvement. I think, as a content creator, as a designer, as a guild, megacity creation, or part of a guild or creating guilds. It's all about early involvement, and I think those people should have early access. And I think that yellow energy, I think it would be a good idea to allow those people with maybe higher yellow energy, and maybe it could be like a tiered thing. Maybe so much yellow energy gives you access to certain things, and more yellow energy will give you access to additional things. I just think it would be a good idea to utilize yellow energy in that respect.
Yeah.
And maybe like privilege, like additional privileges. I was thinking possibly for content creators, maybe they'd have special access rights to the social media site, or early access to it. I don't know. The possibilities really are endless. Maybe they could use it for enhanced resources, but I mean, they already have that with Jules, so I'm not really sure about that one. But yeah, I just think like it would be well used for early access rights, because he's talking about limited access for the EcoSim or E2V1.
Yeah, what do you think, Builder?
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of resource processing, and something like kind of like what you said again with Jason. As far as the access goes, I'm not sure. I don't know how that would play out. I know, that we need the red energy to take and fuel the civilians and stuff like that. And so I'm thinking of these the different energies that it's coming out with, because I think there's possibilities of others coming down the line as well as the fuel, basically, to run the different things. And so that's just my kind of thoughts on it.
Yeah. I think it's like red energy is the representation of energy that is created from conflict. So yellow energy is almost the opposite when you consider bringing people together and working together from a megacity perspective, and also the content creation, holobuildings, trading, all this sort of stuff is it almost seems like the opposite, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're right. That didn't enter into my mind in a minute for the moment until you mentioned that. It states that red energy is actually created from conflict, so you would imagine that the yellow energy would be created from something different, like you said, cooperative. Maybe something like what Jason was saying, for putting together megacities and cooperating to take and generate communities and stuff like that.
So like the most active communities would reap that reward, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Food for thought.
Yes.
a couple of the other topics we wanted to cover. So obviously we've all, had a look at the draft white paper. The things that we can do now. So let's have a look at, holobuildings. Obviously, Jason, you're a prominent member of the holobuilding community.
Yeah,
and
you have some great.
And I'm not gonna, put you too high on a pedestal, but I feel like a lot of your feedback was driving the holobuilding market and a lot of those updates that come out. What do you think?
Yeah, there were several of us that had a lot of contribution to and feedback to the initial design, and I think there's still a long ways to go with the hollow building market. They kind of jump ship, I think, to focus on rating, and rightfully so. They got to set certain priorities, and I think they'll circle around back to that. And Shane did say he would. And I had a brief chat with him in the Discord regarding holobuildings and utility, and I disagreed with him on the fact that storage space is utility, because it doesn't give any utility to creation or fancy creation any more than a block, right? So it's really not utility. So I think he understood that, and he was going to circle back around. So there's hope, I think, that that they will provide some sort of utility. What that will be, it's hard to say. I mean, I did notice that on one of the charts there for when he was talking with civilians, he did allude to the fact that interiors would have utility. So I think he was referring to hollow buildings. So perhaps hollow buildings with interior designs. Maybe we'll be able to use them. My hope is, anyways, that we'll be able to use them in the EcoSim.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
E2V1 eventually. And what's going to be allowed is, that's a huge discussion in itself. And I think there needs to be some sort of quality control. That's my personal opinion. Others, vary on that.
I'm just concerned. I'm just wondering. So right now they have some set building designs that are going to go into E2V1. Okay. But I'm just wondering how they're going to transition these hollow building designs. Some of these designs you guys have done are fantastic. I mean, amazing. But transitioning them into E2V1, I'm curious on how that's going to work. I know we're going to be able to modify buildings that are in, but will it be that the hollow buildings that you guys have created and stuff like this be separate from the other buildings that they've already got going in there? What are your thoughts?
That's a really good question, and it's something that I've really debated myself too, because the truth of the matter is these hollow buildings are very rough. I've exported virtually all of mine myself. I've imported them into Blender, and I'm literally spending weeks, if not months, on each and every single design to fix it up and enhance it. Like a hollow building, like some of them are amazing. These other designers have done some amazing work on them, but I don't know if they're really up to par for the EcoSim. And I think maybe, if they added some enhancements to the editor and somehow we're able to clean them up, then maybe. But
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's that adding the editor in there. I am having to think that they're going to have to go to a partner on, like, with Blender or something like this, because the EcoSim itself is just, mass. I've got to assume that it's massive. Okay, of what they have to do, and the hollow editor that they did, is pretty. I think it's pretty basic, but to go beyond what they've that and add that into the engine, I'm thinking that's more complex than,
Yeah, it seems like a lot of work. And others have mentioned too. I think they'd just be better off just like enabling the ability to import designs. Like, I mean, they're all the same file types. Like you can convert them to any file type. So why not just allow like importing of designs from Blender or Utility or at more advanced editors, rather than even bothering with. But you know what, actually somebody else did mention in something in Discord that they're not compatible with the map box.
That's
I don't know about that. Yeah.
All right, so that's right now, okay, they can't do a whole lot as far as modifying Mapbox. Okay, as far as the edit, the hollow building situation there is relatively simple and probably easy for Mapbox to handle.
Sorry.
But to go beyond that, I think would be the file size and the details would be way too much for Mapbox, and that's something I'm working on a video on, talking about the comparison between E2 as a browser base versus E2 when it goes to cloud based, or when the EcoSim engine goes online. It'll be wholly different, because the EcoSim is going to be designed to handle these upgraded designs. Well, I mean, just look at the video. You can see what they're looking at handling with the EcoSim engine when you take a look at the video and they do the flyby through the cities and the little outposts. So
it kind of makes you wonder too if they'll even stay with Mapbox or maybe switch to different provider. I don't know. Possibilities are endless, right?
No, they're building it on Unity. They're building it on Unity, so they're building their own platform. It's going to be they'll be leaving Mapbox once E2v1 comes online. Okay, it will be its own graphics generator. Okay,
right.
And so Mapbox is just, I think they just use it to get launched, to be able to build the database so that they had something to work with to build the EcoSim engine, okay, as well as probably generate a little bit of income. But Mapbox they won't be using Mapbox when they go into the, I am pretty sure that they won't be using Mapbox when they go into, when the EcoSim is launched.
I would tend to agree. Yeah, they'll probably move away from that. Something more advanced.
Right.
It makes sense. Seems like a logical step.
Right.
Anyway, let's just get back on track a little bit here.
Sure. Yeah.
Obviously, there is a lot to talk about when it comes to E2v1 and the possibilities and moving forward. One thing that I will say, and Jason, you'll probably agree with me here, is that what we were doing prior to hollow building market launch was more beneficial for hollow builders, because we were paying the price for those one-of-ones that we spoke about, you and I have spoken about quite often, because that's a unique building to a lot of us, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just the mere fact that they launched the hollow building market or the bazaar market without any utility or any real structure. I mean, it just killed the whole market, I think. I mean, there were some designs that sold for pretty significant price. I know June had some pretty good sales there initially, but I mean, I think it's pretty dead right now.
And that will come back, I think, when buyers and sellers alike are able to earn that yellow energy. I think that's kind of what the point is.
Yeah. Once they actually assign them some sort of purpose, or once they start, if they enable the, because in the white paper they're talking about custom designs. So like with custom designs, I mean, it brings into question, are they going to provide schematics that are created by the developers that we can custom design or modify, or are they going to allow designs from people like me and other designers to be purchased and utilized and customized.
I think that I think
don't
it's
know.
not going to be much different than, I don't think it's going to be much different than what is when E2V1 launches. I don't think building design will be much different than what it is in E1. You as a designer can take and somebody can come in and contract you to take and design a building. Okay. And I think that'll be available in the EcoSim. Okay. I mean, you guys have been, it's kind of the same thing with what was happening with the holobuilding. The problem was there was no utility. Okay. But once the EcoSim is launched, and we have utility, and you have spaces for commercial buildings, you have spaces for residential buildings, and just general public utility of stores and so on and so forth, then the stuff that you and other designers are doing will have utility and will have worth. And like me, I'll contract you to take and build something for me instead of trying to do it and spend weeks and weeks and weeks trying to do it, you know?
Oh yeah.
And there will be more and more people that'll do that. I think so just,
yeah, I think it's just going to be interesting to see how it's all laid out there with
right.
Because obviously there's going to be designs provided by the developers as well. I mean, we've seen all those buildings in the video. So
yeah, but
I think
yeah, but I think the initial buildings they're talking about, okay, are just going to be limited. It's just like the resource cycler, a couple of buildings that they've highlighted will be the standard for something, but as far as all the rest of it, okay, the city, I mean, they probably put into city and stuff like this. Okay, they had somebody design that all up, but when it launches, those cities aren't going to be there. Nothing is going to be there except for what you guys design and build, or what we design and build.
Oh, so you don't think they have
it's
like
going to
these
be a blank slate
buildings? So the ones in the videos, you don't think that they'll be available?
Yeah, they may be available, but what I'm saying though is, yeah, they may be available, but when they launch, I'm pretty sure they're going to launch with a blank slate.
It's going to be like a expectation, I suppose, and then all of the Earth 2 features that are on the site will then migrate onto the E2V1. That's what I'm suspecting. Does that make sense?
Well, I don't know. That's where I was talking about the present holobuildings being able to, because they're like Jason was saying, they're so rough, so raw, and so they wouldn't. I don't know. We just when V1 comes out, we'll have to see, you know.
Yeah.
But I do know one thing, and they made this clear numerous times. When V1 launches, it's going to be a clean slate. There is going to be nothing, and we will design it.
Yeah,
they've mentioned this numerous times in videos and so on and so forth. And so
pristine.
Yes, correct. Okay, so that's
so
I think you're going to have Jason. I think you're going to have a lot more work than you think when V1 launches.
Well, you know, there's more. I don't have enough time in a day, really, between the rating and designs. I'm trying to focus back on designs again, and like I said, each design has taken me like literally weeks, if not months. It's just pretty crazy how much time consuming it is.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen you. Right.
Yeah.
So back on track.
Yeah.
Video content. Let's see. We're talking about things we can create now. Okay. And you have this is more external stuff than not necessarily internal to Earth 2 videos and photo content.
What we're doing now, basically.
What we're doing now, right?
Yeah. So let's consider So the holobuildings is on platform now. Yellow Energy might be able to make through creating, selling, buying. And then the video content creation, like what we're doing now, will be the contribution that we have inside of Earth2's social platform.
Okay. All right.
So Yellow Energy through content creation, which then is the amount of views and likes and comments that you get, perhaps.
Okay. Maybe.
More incentive for people like us to continue to do that.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
going to be really interesting to see how they actually measure that for each field, you know, for content creators, designers, you know, guild members. Yeah, I don't know. How do they measure that really? It's
well, similar to, for example, some of the ranking competition leaderboard things that they already have set up in Discord, for example. You'll get a certain amount of points for a like, certain amount of points for a comment, reactions, and all of this sort of stuff. So there might be some sort of system like that, perhaps.
Yeah, I wonder if they can measure the time spent on stuff, perhaps time in certain guilds, or I'm really hoping that it's measured time spent on holobuilding designs versus actual sales, because I don't have any. Well, very little.
Yeah.
The KOM logo, that's about it for me.
Right.
But,
I think you'll have it won't necessarily generate yellow energy for it, but you will, as far as your designs go, the market will be there for buying it, because anyway, I'm not going to go back there again.
I pulled out of the market. I pulled out of the market just because you know, there was it crashed right off the beginning, and you know, just waiting for better market, you know, better structure. And
right, it'll come. It will come.
Oh,
and you have it, and you have down here talking about the NFTs, Resin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the draft white paper, this is a big one too, that a lot of people don't consider. When you look at things like Sandbox, for example, they have a lot of external NFT collections.
Yes.
And by holding a token from any of these collections and participating in the competitions that they have and playing the games, there are rewards to holding those certain NFTs. So Earth2 won't be too far off doing the same thing, and that's all about the interoperability. And we've spoken about it a million times. So let's consider the different community projects that do have NFTs that are involved in Earth2. So obviously, Knights of Malta, we've got ours. You also have Tulsa, which is the Korean guild. Right. You have Dork Slayer, Elite City. Yep.
Wasn't Pacey going to launch one too?
I think he was considering it. Hasn't reached that point just yet. Okay. And I'm always happy to help him out if he needs it. Right. What other ones are there?
I don't know right offhand. The ones you mentioned are all the ones I've seen. I don't know if anybody else. I haven't seen them advertised on the E2 official anymore, other than what you mentioned on E2 official. So
yeah. So if there is these community projects that are obviously encouraging and promoting growth within Earth2, there's going to be a high chance there's going to have some sort of utility, or even in the E2V1 video, we saw NFTs in that with the little trading cards. So Earth2 trading cards, they were a big thing.
Yeah, but you also have the other stuff that wearable stuff. I mean, your characters, your avatars, the clothing. You're gonna have decorations and things like this will go into the various buildings that Jason designs, and and he may design some nice stuff to set on your tables, or some nice tables.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, those wearables in themselves are going to be a big market for sure. Right. And yeah, we're exploring the possibilities of that with AI and everything. You know.
Sure, but those are going to be NFTs. Those will be those will have a contract attached to them. People have a tendency of forgetting that NFTs can be anything. Okay. And so it's not just a picture of a knight or something else. Those
Yes.
wearables and all that other stuff will all be NFTs. And they will have value and collect value. And you'll have the JSON collection and you'll have the Resin collection, and well, maybe Builder might do something.
Yeah, there was a new update
Excuse me.
with the, I think it's the Ethereum chain, where you could set up a token that was actually a wallet,
Right. Oh,
and then
okay.
so that would be represented by an image, video, whatever it is, and then that wallet would then contain all of these separate items, so similar to what we're talking about now, wearables, things
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So things we're not able to do.
Yep.
I don't know that you say emotes, battle
Yeah,
arena
it's
creation. Okay, let's go to the emotes.
The emotes is one that they've teased us with on the, is it the holobuilding trading announcement? They've got these little emotes on that. I don't know the purpose of them, and I don't understand why it is such a big deal. But if they tie that in with the yellow energy as well, obviously that's going to be something that people get into.
Okay.
Have you seen that announcement with the holobuilding trading?
I had not.
Oh,
I saw the emotes, but I have no clue how they like are going to work into the whole
yeah.
thing. But
Yeah.
Was this an E2 announcement?
Yeah.
it was on an image, one of the holobuilding images earlier on.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I can't remember exactly which one. Which news?
It's the holobuilding trading announcement, I think.
Oh, is the initial one there? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
But yeah, everyone's kind of like, what emotes? What the heck is that?
I have a feeling that probably got left in the dust.
Yeah. For now.
For now. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the next 1, 2, 3, the next two we have already basically covered. When you're talking about battle arenas, I mean that'll come up. That'll come up when we start the content creation, and people like JSON and Evil and others start creating stuff like that.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about the game aspect of the arenas.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that they specified the battle arenas. I mean, why not, like sports center or concert hall, or like it's funny. I don't know if it was just an example, or it's just funny that their first one would be battle arena, along with residential and commercial buildings.
Right.
Yeah.
I just found it interesting that it was that specific to a battle arena.
Well,
just curious.
well, when you think of crash carts or other stuff, then that's pretty much restrained to a battle arena itself. Droid's not necessarily, because it's pretty open.
Yeah, drone probably is what it's referencing to.
Right.
So when you look at drone and the editors that are in that game, so you obviously have your drone editor, and then you have your battle arena editor, and I think that's going to tie into E2V1 at some stage.
Okay. Customized buildings in the ecosim. Of course, we can't do those right now. Mapbox can't handle it.
Yeah, just circling back to the holobuildings as well. And I like to dream a little bit about this utility for certain things. So when you consider holobuildings having utility, obviously we can get some sort of trading happening, yellow energy, and then also utilizing them for similar to the purposes that they've shown in the videos, where you can walk around in them. And then we've played around in spatial a bit. Nizzers and Jason have set up the different castle holobuildings that he's created, and that was in our Knights of Malta spatial.
Right.
And so I guess that has some sort of utility when you then put that as a external NFT, make it so then the actual file itself can't be extracted, which would be fantastic. I know a lot of people were getting upset about that. And then, you know, say you set like a door.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have this thing where you walk in and then you enter the door and then it goes into this interior space, and then that's like a link. So then you can then build your own interior space the same way you would any other building, like your commercial and residential buildings.
Okay.
So maybe that hollow building piece does that, have that utility, and will at some stage by basically placing a door into an internal space.
That's interesting thought. Never thought of that. I've just been creating all the interiors myself instead of a portal. That would be a quick and easy solution for an interior, I guess.
Yeah, something to consider. I mean, obviously there's been some which have like an outdoor courtyard, which isn't, you can't really make an interior for that now, can you? Because it's in the open space. Whereas if it's a closed space, door to another area, then that's something else that we can consider.
Okay.
Sorry, we got off track again.
That's okay. No, that's fine. You know, because I mean, we could probably spend an entire show talking about the hollow buildings in the ecosystem and stuff like that. So you have down, I think we touched portals already. You're talking about advertisement. Well, we can't do any advertising right now.
Well, we can, but not in the way that they want to.
Yeah, not in the ecosystem, not in the game at the moment. So
the advertising is that's another thing I've been giving a bit of thought to, like how I wonder how they're initially going to approach this. Like from what I have gathered, there's like, I'd say 3 possibilities. Maybe they start out with with just landowners advertising maybe their own hopes and dreams for businesses, you know, their own logos and stuff. Maybe that's a starting point.
Actually, I think it goes well.
You really got to wonder if they're gonna like allow maybe small businesses to start to advertise, or if they already have like these big names lined up already. You know, like I don't know, like I'm hoping they have the big names lined up, so you know we start out with a bang. But
if you look at if you look at Sandbox and whatnot, you have several large relatively large companies that are already advertising within Sandbox, Nike, Ledger, a couple of other different companies that will be available in E2 as well. So see,
you think right off the get-go?
Once it's probably not going to be right away, okay, because I know you're right. They have to take and work out the contract aspect of it because they got to get their piece, okay. You know, and then you get your piece. And see, the idea is you as a content creator, you know, create this fantastic looking building and stuff like this, and it has various utilities. You rent out spaces. You rent out spaces within it for like a meeting hall or a concert hall or something like this. But in the metaverse, it has attraction. Okay, just like the in E1. The sports arenas, they have attraction, and you have billboards all over them from different companies and stuff like this. Well, the same thing is going to be when in the metaverse in E2, the same E2 V1, the same thing is going to be. You create something that attracts people, and there are going to be companies that will want to advertise on, you know, put advertisements in within your building and stuff. And so you can have space, billboards, the signs, you know, different things within the building that will that people will pay, just like regular E1 advertising. And that will,
they even showed us those floating billboards too, right? And
sure, yes, absolutely. You know, and I know that's going to happen because it's already happening within Sandbox, Roadblocks, and other metaverse projects that have already started. They already have external businesses advertising in these games, in these metaverse projects.
Tremendous potential there.
Yes. And so the same thing is going to happen when there's two, but I think it's going to be much bigger. And with folks like ourselves getting in on this early, it's, we'll have a jump start. So,
yeah. Just one thing to remember as well, when you break up that tier 1 versus tier 2 benefits table. So tier 1, limited ecosystem building potential for tier 2, whereas you have full potential for tier 1. So consider this: your residential and commercial buildings are the only ones that can have advertisements on them.
Right. Yes.
So they will be limited to tier 1 tiles only. So if you have a massive stack of tier 2 tiles, you can't build residential, you can't build commercial, you can't advertise. Right. Just something to consider.
That's and I agree with you, and I agree with you, and I think that's where either yellow energy or some other mechanism is going to come into play to allow people to be able to move those tier 2 tiles up to another stage.
Okay. That's a good thought.
Because right now, you can buy tier 1 with red energy. And but you can't transform tier 2 with red energy right now. I think there's probably 2/3 of the land purchased in E2 right now is tier 2.
I think it's almost 50-50.
Is it? You think so?
It's close to 50-50.
Because I know the. Go ahead, Jason.
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
you're saying no. I just want to clarify there on tier 2 land, you can't build commercial or residential.
No,
in the thing about in the write-up about the differentiation between tier 1 and tier 2 tiles and whatnot, they talk about the fact, I don't know about the building aspect of it, but I do know that they talked about the limited utility of tier 2 property. Okay.
Right.
So
I thought you could still build on tier 2, but it's going to have less resources. And probably the construction would be slower. Right. I don't recall them saying that you're not able to build on tier 2 though.
I think could be.
I know advertising is exclusive to tier 1, but
right. Well, you'll probably be able to build. Go ahead, Resin.
When you consider the devlogs when it comes to the ecosystem buildings, if you look at the residential and commercial buildings, they all have advertising billboards on them.
Yes.
Which is restricted to tier 1. I think we'll still have some residential for civilians, perhaps, because they're going to need a place to live or whatever at some stage. They're not going to force everyone to upgrade to tier 1. But I think that's going to be even limited still. You might be able to get like the little houses, for example.
It'll be restricted construction or limited construction. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So the ecosystem production buildings, to get the building blocks and all of that, they're available to all of them as far as I'm aware. Hey, so today
that makes sense.
Excuse me.
Yeah, okay, Builder?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm still above ground.
Still breathing.
Yep, still breathing. Do you have anything else, Jason, you might want to add about the utility of holobuildings and the state of the market?
Oh, well, I'm just hopeful that comes back soon. I don't know when. I know Shane was going to circle back around, but I think we're all hoping for sooner for everything than later. But unfortunately, it's baby steps. I just, I think it's going to be a bit longer. Usually is longer than we anticipate.
Yeah.
But, I know he did mention wanting to initiate some sort of building or construction soon, but
Right.
I don't know what that means, but yeah, I mean, otherwise I think we've covered the hollow building aspect pretty thoroughly. Nothing more I can think of.
I think
But,
when we get E2V1, there'll be more focus on that customization and getting those creations onto E2V1. So we've got the raiding aspects, which they're focusing on now. So civilians that'll launch will have raid management and player to pay contracts, which are the next two updates after civilians.
right.
Then we're focusing on Essence launch, I believe. So we'll see things like upgrading, and then E2V1, and then people are going to go, hey, wait a minute. And this is a very common theme with old content creators that have popped their head back in to see what's happening. They're saying, hey, wait a minute. This was meant to be a metaverse project. Why are we focusing on this gameplay? Where's the customization? Where's this open world where we can create whatever we want? A lot of people are still waiting for that, and then that's a fair call. But we'll get a lot of voices like that, and that's when we'll get a bit more focus back on the customization of our new world, I suppose.
Right. And
Yeah, right now there's just so many.
Go ahead, Jason.
There's just so many aspects for them to focus on right now. I'm sure they're spread pretty thin, there's components of the hollow building market that we had requested, such as implementing auctions for limited editions, and allowing us as creators to keep some of those limited editions as well, because right now, like, the market just doesn't allow for that. And that's a large reason why I held back on my designs as well.
Right.
So there's so many just small things like that can be implemented, and it all takes time, right?
Right. I think you'll see the editing, the holobuild editing right now is very limited, but I think it'll open up considerably more once E2V1 comes out. And I think your work that you're doing with the Blender and stuff like this to modify your creations will be well spent. Because I don't believe that they're going to be able to put in an editor. I think they're going to have to use a third party or a partner platform for doing that type of editing, and more likely it's going to be Blender or something like that.
I would agree too. I thought there was some talk about enhancements to the current editor, but I don't know if that's really time well spent to enhance the current one.
I hear you.
Yeah,
it's like recreating the wheel, right?
Yes. If you got a really good company that's already doing it, you might as well. You're better off just partnering with them and say, hey, you get a piece of the pie. You let our guys come in, and so.
Yeah, I mean, at that stage, by the time they're ready, better off just skipping right to something that's far superior. Skip Mapbox altogether.
Right. Correct.
Yeah.
So, any final words?
I just wanted to circle back over the content creation.
Okay.
I think there was something that I wanted to speak about with regards to Yellow Energy and that social media platform that they're building. Okay. So Shane's indicated that RGA is the main driver behind this social media platform. So devoid of all the other aspects of Earth 2 that they're focusing on, that one has been passed to an external company based off what Shane has mentioned. So they're the marketing company that we spoke about. So a lot of these content creators that started from the beginning in 2020 and then early 2021, there was the hype and there was this is going to happen, and at an accelerated pace where these people would make more money on top of the money that they made. So the referral codes and the land income that they got from their initial purchases, there was a part of the algorithm that gave them quite significant returns. Now, that was tweaked, I believe, at a later date, as we saw with the launch of Israel when that first opened up, and the land income tax was not quite as high as what it had been previously.
Right.
So that was where some of that, those users decided not to stick around and create content because the return on investment was not massive. Okay. And that's that hype piece when we talk about Essence token, because people were looking for that return on investment, and it's minimal effort to get that return on investment that people are looking for, because we've seen people with jewel crafting, even hollow building creation, buying, trading, selling, all of that sort of stuff. They've made their return on investment and they've made a massive amount of money. Okay. So moving forward, what we're going to see here is some of these content creators, when Essence launches and then we start to get things moving, they may come back temporarily again. And then if we have some sort of incentive with yellow energy, they may stick around. So when we look at the content creators that we've had, you guys would all remember we had Guidebook Gaming, gone. We had the other podcast, I think it was My Name is Human, they've gone. Pacey's still around, and I love Pacey. He's a great guy, and he just really, it's about this passion for the project rather than the monetary returns that we want to see. Like us, we're here because we love the project, right?
Yep.
And these other guys that have come full circle, they will come full circle because of the hype. They follow the hype, which is what we're going to see, I think. So, look, the content creators that we have now, we're going to be the solid base moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
We need those civilians.
Yes, we need those civilians.
It's taken away. It's taken away from our focus. Really, I mean, it's I think for all of us, it does. It takes time. It's if you want to collect a fair bit of red energy, it's time consuming, and for me, it's taken away from my designing and for the content creators, and for everybody. So bring on those civilians.
Yeah, and a lot of the other activities that we've been doing as well, it has taken a little bit of time away from that. So you guys have been playing around on stage 2 or not really?
No, I had some issues with my stage 2, and so and we couldn't get it worked out, and so I dropped it. I'm just relying upon you guys.
Nice.
I was playing around a little bit, but yeah, just the time that I tried to launch some auto raids is the time that they had some glitches, so I wasn't successful in doing anything. So
yeah, so I had to muck around with it. I put 3 civilians on one plot with 3 side droids. Set the auto raid up to attack a neighboring tier 1 property, about 250 tiles.
Right.
Okay. So that red energy investment, and this is where you've got to be really careful, because if you have properties that don't give you enough ether return and then subsequently red energy return, you're going to lose those civilians. This one property that I set up for auto raid, 17, 18 ether a day. Okay.
Okay.
Which was pretty good. And then you consider each civilian is going to need 4 red energy per week.
Right.
Right. So that return on investment already happened within, it was 25 ether per civilian. So that's already happened in the first week.
Good.
Didn't Shane say that it's automatic, that it automatically takes away, was it 1 ether per civilian per week? Is that what it was?
No, it's
no,
4.
So we don't have the option to not give them that? I'm just thinking, like, down the road, if you have these targets, these players come back and there's no ether to obtain from those properties in the future, you're not getting a return, but you still have these civilians to maintain. I'm wondering if there's a way to like put them in like idle or something, or just not feed them, let them starve to death or something.
Well, they wander around, so we don't necessarily lose them. But Shane spoke about agriculture.
But do we have
And
the option not to
There,
give them ether?
there may be, it hasn't been, nothing has been said about it, but I have a feeling that they're going to take and come up with some other way that you obtain
To
red
feed them.
energy and stuff like this besides rating. Okay, because I mean, we've all experienced it already. You started rating, and all of a sudden, people come back, and well,
Mhm.
a spot you're doing really good at, all of a sudden, not doing it good at all. Okay,
Mm.
and
Right. So we could see a tipping point where
right,
it's draining more than it's collecting.
right, and so I
Mm.
have a
Hope everybody
feeling
comes
that yeah,
back.
so I have a feeling that somewhere along the way they're going to add something else in. Whether it is
Yes.
the droids battling each other for the ether, it's possible. Because I mean they've already expressed that there's going to be more utility in the side droids than what there is at the moment. So anyway,
Hang on.
that's my
Where's
thought.
where's my little hand up emoji?
Yeah.
He's spoken about having agriculture to
Right.
be able to feed the civilians instead of red energy.
Okay.
So yes, so that's where he's talking about that civilians will have more than more utility, I suppose, or purpose in life, as we say,
Right.
as we're all our own little gods of our lands, and the civilians are our people.
Right.
So they'll have different purposes, I think, when it comes to different functions in the ecosystem. So whether it be doing things logistically speaking, or we could set them out to do some farm work to feed
Okay.
themselves, so
Sure.
then they don't wander, because that's kind of the point. We don't want them wandering,
No.
because someone like Tellus from Dorkslayer is going to try and steal my civilians. I have a feeling he's going to try.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
So,
I mean,
or it'll be someone from it'll be Ken from Lone Wolves, because he has been raiding me on stage 2.
oh really?
Cheeky bugger. Yeah. And he's like, how dare you log in? How dare you?
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
I
definitely,
imagine, I had quite a few properties in stage 2, so I imagine somebody's probably really reaping the rewards. I mean, because I had
Yeah.
like 20,000, 30,000 in property tiles and stuff like that, some large ones. So I imagine somebody's really reaping a lot off of those. Anyway, so last words. Shall we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Jason?
Thanks for Jason for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you
All
both.
right. You bet.
No worries.
All right. Y'all have a great day. Well, thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening in, guys. Catch you later.